You won't believe what happened on an ordinary Tuesday in my quiet neighborhood. A full-blown Karen storm erupted in my driveway, her son demanding my Mustang like it was his birthright, her shouting, threatening, calling the cops. But she had no idea who she was really messing with. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from, because this one's going to shock you. I never thought a normal Tuesday afternoon could turn into something straight out of a nightmare. I was sipping my coffee, leaning against the kitchen counter, the warm sunlight streaming through my living room windows, when I heard the faint roar of an engine that didn't belong in our quiet cul-de-sac. My Mustang, the cherry red 2020 GT I'd spent months restoring, was parked perfectly in the driveway, gleaming in the sun. Everything seemed calm until I saw a movement at the edge of my vision. A woman stomping down my driveway, heels clicking sharply against the pavement. Her voice carried before her even reached the porch. "That's my son's car. You need to give it to him." I froze for a second, my heart pounding as adrenaline rushed through me. The woman, classic HOA Karen energy, was pointing at my car, eyes blazing with entitlement. I set my coffee down, trying to mask my irritation. "Excuse me?" I asked, stepping onto the porch, my tone measured. She didn't answer. Instead, she started ranting about her son, how he deserved the Mustang more than me, like she had some cosmic right to dictate my life. Neighbors peeked out from behind curtains and from across the street, sensing the tension. Their murmurs mixed with the shrill of her voice, creating this uneasy symphony of anticipation. Her son, a lanky teenager with an air of arrogance, appeared behind her, smirking as if he already owned the place. "Come on, Mom, tell him. It's mine. You can't just keep it," he said, gesturing toward my car. My stomach twisted. I was a person of law, trained to handle disputes, but this wasn't some petty complaint. It was a full-blown invasion of my property and peace of mind. My Mustang wasn't just a car. It was countless nights spent polishing, countless weekends in the garage, my pride and joy. Karen's voice escalated. "I'm calling the cops," she screeched, fishing her phone from her purse like a weapon. The neighbors' heads popped out of windows, some whispering, some filming. My pulse quickened. "Go ahead," I said calmly, stepping fully onto the porch, hands visible but firm. The air felt heavy, thick with the smell of hot asphalt and tension, and I noticed a faint scent of her expensive perfume, clashing with the usual suburban lawn aroma. She dialed, her voice trembling with rage. "Yes, we need immediate assistance at 14 Maple Drive. There's a theft. He refuses to return a car to my son." Her son laughed, a high-pitched, entitled sound that grated on my nerves. My mind raced. I knew how to handle police situations, but she had no idea who she was about to deal with. I remained calm, each breath steady, though my chest felt tight. Neighbors had gathered, watching this absurd showdown unfold like a live soap opera. Her threats became more personal, questioning my character, my decisions, even my reputation in the neighborhood. I could see the crowd's unease, some shifting from foot to foot, some trying to stifle chuckles, all of them sensing the imbalance of this confrontation. I tried reasoning. This is my car. I'm not selling or giving it to anyone. But she didn't hear logic. She only heard entitlement. Each second stretched longer than the last. My mind calculated my next move while keeping my tone calm, every word weighed, every gesture deliberate. And then, just as her call ended with her screaming into the phone, I noticed her son edging closer to the Mustang, hands reaching for the door handle. I froze. One wrong move from him, one push, one grab, and this situation could explode into chaos. My voice sharpened. "Step back now." His smirk faltered for a brief moment, and that's when I realized the scale of this confrontation. The entire street was watching, and it was about to get much messier than I anticipated. The moment stretched, electric with tension. Karen's face twisted in fury, her phone clutched in one hand like a shield, the other shaking as she gestured wildly. "You don't understand. My son has rights," she shouted. I inhaled slowly, my senses sharpening. The sound of distant lawnmowers, a dog barking somewhere down the street, the low hum of passing cars. Everything contrasted with the chaos happening right here, right in front of me. The The sun reflected off my Mustang's polished hood, bright like a spotlight on this absurd drama. Her son laughed nervously now, realizing his mother's theatrics weren't going to scare me. "Yeah, Mom, he's just some guy." "Give it," he yelled, stepping closer again. I could see his hesitation. He wasn't a criminal, just an entitled kid used to getting his way. I held my ground, heart pounding, palms pressed lightly against my thighs to prevent any twitching, any sign of weakness. My neighbors were now fully out in the street, some filming, some whispering, some calling out advice I didn't need. Every pair of eyes felt like a jury waiting for the verdict. Then Karen's voice hit a new pitch. "I'm serious. Police, you can't do this to us." She jabbed her finger toward me, her nails sharp and manicured, like daggers aimed at my chest. I caught the movement out of the corner of my eye, analyzing every micro-expression. The quiver of her lips, the tension in her shoulders, the tight grip on the phone. I remained still, letting her escalation feed her frustration, while I assessed every option, every legal avenue quietly forming in my mind. Her son now leaned over my Mustang, hand brushing the door handle. I exhaled slowly, the smell of leather interior mixing with the scent of summer heat. "Stop." I barked, louder this time, my voice cutting through the tension. He froze, eyes widening. For a split second, the street went silent, people holding their breath, sensing the confrontation's peak. I could feel the adrenaline surge, my instincts kicking in, a deep calm under pressure only experience can teach. Karen's reaction was instantaneous. She screamed, "I'm recording this. You'll pay for this. I know people." Her threats came faster now, a torrent of entitlement and delusion. I tilted my head slightly, locking eyes with her, letting the pause stretch. Long enough for her to realize she was wasting energy, for her son to sense that the situation wasn't going to bend to their demands. The murmurs of neighbors grew louder, some shaking their heads, some whispering in disbelief. I could feel the tension in the air like static electricity. Each footstep, each inhale, each click of her heels against the pavement reverberated in my chest. She had no idea who she was really dealing with. I let the silence hang for just a heartbeat longer before speaking, my voice measured but firm, every word deliberate. "Do you really want to escalate this?" I asked, "Because there's a law in place, and I'm part of it." Her eyes flicked at me, confusion for a split second, then fury returned. "What do you mean?" she demanded. The neighbors leaned in, sensing the shift, the subtle change in my posture, the faint shine of my badge under my shirt, barely visible but enough to suggest authority. Karen didn't notice it yet, but her son was squinting, uncertainty creeping in. The balance of power was about to tip, but she still had no idea just how far. And then her next words, brimming with arrogance, forced the final push. "You can't intimidate us. We have HOA rules. This is our neighborhood." She advanced a step, the phone now raised like a weapon. Her son's hand twitched again toward my car. That's when I made my move, slow but unmistakable, revealing the first hint of my real identity, the one that would flip this confrontation entirely on its head. I pulled my jacket slightly open, letting the edge of my uniform peek through. "HOA rules?" I asked, my voice calm but carrying authority. "I'm the police chief in this city, and you just try to commit theft." Karen's eyes went wide, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Her son froze mid-motion, the door handle inches from his hand, completely forgetting to be defiant. The street fell silent, neighbors frozen in disbelief, some whispering, others gasping audibly. The heat of the sun seemed to intensify, the smell of asphalt mixing with the tension like a storm ready to break. "W what?" she stammered, gripping her phone like it was a lifeline. I stepped forward, each footfall deliberate, echoing slightly in the quiet street. "You called the cops on me," I said slowly, not knowing the person you're trying to accuse is the very chief of the department. The realization hit her hard. Her son's smirk disappeared entirely, replaced by the pale hue of shock. Their entire narrative, entitlement, intimidation, audacity, crumbled in an instant. Neighbors whispered among themselves, the low hum of their murmurs swelling into a wave of astonishment. Some filmed, some nodded subtly, recognizing the sheer audacity of Karen's mistake. We didn't know," she muttered, her voice trembling, a stark contrast of fire she had wielded minutes ago. The sense of injustice she had tried to impose on me evaporated, replaced by disbelief, humiliation, and a flicker of fear. I could see the tension draining from the boy's body as he realized he had crossed someone far beyond his reckoning. I kept my voice steady, authoritative, but not cruel. "You've harassed my neighbors, threatened my property, and attempted theft. There will be consequences. HOA rules don't apply to criminal acts." The words landed heavy, precise, and legal. Karen's phone fell slowly to her side as she realized there was no backing out, no authority to shield her this time. I motioned subtly toward the crowd, some of whom had begun clapping softly, others nodding. The realization of justice, of proper authority being revealed, resonated across the street. I detailed clearly what would happen next. HOA fines, legal documentation of the attempted theft, and counseling for her son about respecting private property. The air, once thick and stifling, began to feel lighter, as though the very act of truth being revealed lifted the oppressive weight Karen had brought with her. Karen's humiliation was complete, her entitlement exposed in front of everyone who had been drawn to the spectacle. Her son avoided my gaze, stepping back, muttering apologies that were more reflex than sincerity. I felt the Mustang beneath my hand, smooth leather and metal shining, a reminder of persistence, patience, and the importance of respect. This neighborhood, once tense and uncertain, had witnessed a clear example of justice, authority, and the consequences of arrogance. And as I watched them retreat, shamed but unharmed, I reflected on the day, a normal Tuesday, forever changed by confrontation, identity, and a reminder that authority is more than a title. It's accountability, responsibility, and presence. And just like that, what started as a normal day turned into a lesson in entitlement, respect, and accountability. The HOA Karen and her son learned the hard way that intimidation and threats don't work when you're dealing with the law. And when justice shows up, there's no hiding. Remember, authority isn't about titles. It's about responsibility, respect, and knowing your rights. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. And tell me, what would you have done if this happened in your neighborhood?